I'm not selling anything to anyone. I'm just living my truth and what I believe in. And I'm doing it through the work of people that I'm attracting into my life, which are, quote unquote, my clients.
Life is all about relationships. Lovers, family, body, or money. How satisfied you are can be completely explained by how you relate to things around you. This is Sophie Jaffe, and together with my husband, Dr. Adi Jaffe, we are here to explore and teach you how to maximize your relationships and achieve a happier life. Let's get ignited.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ignited Relationship Podcast. I'm Adi Jaffe.
And I'm Sophie Jaffe.
And we are really, really excited to bring you today an integral part of so many of the other guests that we have brought you. Yeah. I think is the easiest way to introduce Tanya to our world. She represents a lot of the holistic, spiritual guests that we've had on before. And so it's really, really fun to be able to have her on here. We're in this kind of elevated wellness. And I think a lot of the guests, a lot of the people that we've talked to that Tanya represents are to us the epitome of the example of what elevated wellness is about.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited about that. And we have a lot of really cool, fun, amazing news for you today. So we're just going to jump right into it. And drum roll, babe. Thank you very much. The review of the week brought to you by Scorpio Bailey. Trying to make that sound like a radio announcement.
Let's not.
Okay, I'll stop. Couple goals. I'm a single 28-year-old woman living in New York City, and you guys have become such an example of the kind of partnership and love I hope to call into my life. Exclamation point. I listen to every episode, whether I can relate to it or not, and it has given me so much hope about my spiritual path and the fact that someone is out there looking to call me in as well. I've learned so much, and whenever that person shows up for me, I know I have so many tools to create a beautiful, intense, loving partnership, and I'm so grateful to you both for that gift.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
That's awesome. I love that she used spiritual path.
Yeah.
Because that really aligns with what we're talking about here today.
So whoever wrote that beautiful review, if you would please send us a DM or an email and let us know that we read it alive on the air. Alive? Live.
We read it alive.
Alive.
It's coming to life in front of me right now.
Let us know so we can send you your little philosophy, abstinence myth, ignited package. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read something that I come back to often. I have a morning mantra, a midday check-in, and an evening prayer, all that I wrote over the last few years. And I just love coming back to it because it drops me in immediately to my best self. So wherever you are, as long as you're not driving, if you are driving, please pull over and just take a moment to find your feet. So feet down on the earth. If you're sitting down, bring them down. If you're laying down or sitting down, just bring them 2 feet on the earth. Don't have your legs crossed. And then close your eyes and bring your hands to your heart. You can bring one hand to your heart or both hands to your heart and take a deep breath in and out through the mouth. Deep breath in. Release it through the mouth. And one more, sitting up nice and straight. Inhale through the nose. And open your mouth, let it go. Keep your eyes closed and your hand or hands on your heart. I begin this day with a full and open heart. I am whole. I experience life from a place of simplicity, love, and appreciation. I work hard because it feels good. I share my love, smile, and heart with complete generosity. I refuse to dim my light from fear. I am here to serve from a place of love. I hold nothing back. I am whole. A deep breath in and let it go. And so it is. Blink your eyes open. And just remember that you can come back to this at any point when you're feeling maybe a little frazzled, uneasy. It's that easy to just come back to something, maybe it's a meditation that you love, but this just grounds me. And I have 3 of them throughout the day. Maybe I'll release them somewhere else for Ignited. But they're just in the notes in my phone, and I just look at it whenever I feel a little off. So
I love it.
I hope you enjoyed that. It felt good given this podcast. And we talk a lot about spirituality and connecting your purpose to your business and it all being one. I think that you and I are really getting better and better at that, and like living by example, and that we're not going to just do something just to do it. Like even if I'm doing an ad for a brand or I'm working on a commercial, like it has to feel good. Even that took time, you know, and it happens in layers. Nothing's perfect. But I remember back in the day, someone would ask me to do a commercial. It didn't matter if I was personally aligned or not. I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I'll go act. But guess what? It's my body, my being, my spirit, my soul, my time, my energy, and me having to show up and be present and be authentic. That's a challenge for me personally, especially now if it's something that I don't feel aligned with. So
absolutely,
really just finding ways to fine tune that.
Yeah, I think the timing is amazing. And yeah, look, I mean,
we got to stumble though too. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to do the wrong thing for a while. And then like now when I think back on making mistakes, like doing an ad with a product or a partner that doesn't feel aligned, I might not have known that when I said yes. Like I think once it was like a YoPlay commercial or an ad on my Instagram or one of those, like Dannon or something.
I grew up on like Dannon.
Sure, you grew up on it.
I get it.
And same, I had YoPlay and Dannon as a child because I didn't know any better. My mom was buying the food for me. And now that I'm an adult and I have a social media platform and a voice based on who I really am authentically, I have to be careful with what I say yes to. And there's a lot of backlash. And more importantly, I want to make sure I feel aligned with whatever it is that I'm selling or putting out there or sharing about.
Yeah.
So I remember I said yes to that yogurt brand, whichever one it was. And then as I started to put it up, this anxiety washed over me. And I was like, this doesn't feel aligned. This doesn't feel aligned. This doesn't feel aligned. I wouldn't actually buy this right now at the grocery store and give it to my kids. I wouldn't buy it and eat it myself. If it were sitting on set, I wouldn't eat it. If you bought it, I wouldn't eat it. So I need to not put this out. So I had to get out of the contract early, and I got penalized for that. And I got a lot of trouble, which is fine. I'm willing to take that. But again, it happens in layers. And for me personally, I make mistakes, and that's where I learn. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I love that meditation, and I would have been really uncomfortable doing it 10 years ago. So always growth. You know, I think the reason I love this interview and talking to Tanya is we've known her, but we've known her on the outside of the people that we've featured or talked to. I mean, Durek and Shannon and Aarona, like a lot of our friends.
Yeah. We really got to connect with her personally.
Yeah, we got to connect with her personally. And also, look, you guys listen to the podcast and it feels like these things just happen. It's the same with a TV show. Or like you watch a TV show and it seems like the actors just showed up and just knew what to say. And I'm totally going to use this old reference. I'm dating myself. Joey had a witty comeback. But that's not true. It took 7 writers and months and all the cameramen and the directing and all that stuff to make that happen. And the reason I like this conversation is it's letting you guys see a little bit behind the scenes.
Sure.
You're not here when we're recording this, and so you don't understand the little nitty gritty. And that's what we love the reviews so much. That's what we take them to heart, is it shows us that what we're doing is resonating for the listeners.
Resonating, impactful, making a difference. And that what we're putting out there is what you're receiving, which I think is really the point. Like we have an intention of just sharing our hearts, sharing our souls, the rad people in our lives, rad people out there that maybe aren't in our personal lives, but we love and admire.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we help you to keep up-leveling your life and asking questions that are uncomfortable so you can grow. And
we can tell that the environment is changing. I mean, so we had Durek, we've had him on a couple of times, I think. Obviously, he's a close friend at this point. Tanya, he was on the Doctors. I've been on the Doctors multiple times. He's now like a resident expert. Mm-hmm. Like, just think about that for a second. On the Doctors TV show, there's a shaman. That's a huge evolution shift in what is being allowed as part of the conversation. And the reason I'm saying it is Tanya played some role in that.
Yep. As everybody who's part of this evolution movement of what it means to be woke or whatever you want to talk about it as is. This brings us to a really important point, which is we've been doing this for about 2 years. Mm-hmm.
just over 2 years, like 2 years and a month.
Yep.
And we just hit 1 million downloads.
Woo woo!
So thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
That's a huge honor.
Yep. Listening, checking in, downloading, being a part of our family.
Yeah. Showing up to our live events.
Yep.
Connecting with us online through social media. And we wanted to show you the respect back. Obviously, part of the way we do that is by actually continuing to do the work. And thank you so much for letting us know how that resonates.
Yeah.
But we wanted to make this one special.
Yep.
And so what we want to do is do kind of like the giveaway of all giveaways that we could do. And so if you want to run them through some of the amazing stuff they're going to get.
We're trying to kind of combine a bunch of things that we just love and we know you guys love. So we have a Ninja Foodie pressure cooker that also crisps. So it's an air fryer crisper. It's a pressure cooker, Tinder crisper. It has all these crazy things it does. So we're giving that away. It's brand new, never used.
In the box.
In the box. We have hundreds of dollars. I'm going to decide between like $300 to $500 worth of amazing bestsellers from Philosophy. So everything from Chrysalis products, from the detox bath soak to the water.
Do they get fall vibes?
They will get fall vibes.
Okay.
We're almost out of stock, but yes, you'll get fall vibes, green dream, berry bliss, the whole gamut. And then we're going to give you ignited swag. So
you're getting all the swag.
Our ignited hat, our ignited bracelet, our ignited t-shirt.
Mug.
And we will be throwing in other things like our other brands that we absolutely adore. We'll be throwing that in.
This is going to be a box of amazingness. Like you're going to open this and first you'll faint.
You probably won't faint, but it'll be like Christmas. It'll be like your own personal Christmas in like February. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. And great in terms of love and it being a loving month.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we love you and we feel the love. So thank you so much for your support and for listening and for sharing with your friends, and just keep it going.
Yeah, we'll have the rules beneath in the notes and we'll share about it. Thank you, Luca. Luca's really excited about this too. It'll require, for you to tag us and tell us your favorite episode and tag 3 friends. And there'll be a lot of different things you have to do for this, but you're going to get all this amazing stuff in return. So as you can tell how excited Luca is about this just outside the window, we want to thank you. 1 million, it's insane to think like 1 million downloads. I think some of the largest stadiums hold like 150,000 people.
Crazy to think about.
8 full stadiums worth of people who downloaded something. It's insanity.
And you know what? Kai knew immediately when I said this morning, guess what? Mommy and Abba's podcast just hit 1 million downloads. And he was like, oh, that means a lot more people than that listened. And I was like,
because people listen together.
I said, did you hear me say that? And he was like, no. I'm like, how'd you know? He's like, I just knew. So my 9-year-old also made it clear that it's not just 1 million people that have listened. Like people share, people don't download, right? People just listen. And so thank you. Thank you all so much. We're going to keep doing our best in 2020 to bring you even more. We have some guests. You don't even understand the guests that are coming this year. It's insane. Thank you for being part of our family. We can't wait to introduce you to Tanya. See you on the flip side. Mwah. This episode of the Ignited podcast is brought to you by Philosophy Superfoods. The Philosophy offers cleanses and other nutritional products that are unlike any of the other supplements and detoxification programs on the market. Why? Because they actually nourish the body with whole, live, nutrient-rich foods instead of depriving you and leaving you hungry. Have you ever tried a cleanse only to find out that you can't make it through a whole day because you're starving? Ever try a superfood shake that made you nauseous because it was so disgusting you'd rather not eat? The Philosophy fixes all that with a simple set of offerings that load up your body with nutrients while actually tasting good. Makes sense, right? Each of the Philosophy superfood and protein blends is vegan, raw, gluten-free, and has absolutely no filler ingredients. With over 15,000 satisfied customers, including some of the world's biggest celebrities like George Clooney, Gerard Butler, Lea Michele, and over 10 years of experience, this is the best stuff you can get. To buy some or find out more info, go to our website, thephilosophy.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here for our chat. And we've got, I don't know, how do I introduce you, Tanya? Like, you've heard every single one of the clients that this next person we're bringing on today has that I know of on this podcast.
Yeah.
Which is pretty magical, I gotta say. And so finally, I guess we're kind of like bringing you to the source. I don't even know how to say it, but Tanya, you are the Soulful Publicist.
Yep.
Which is, that's literally your your call on Instagram, right? And first of all, we got to explain to people what the hell that is.
Yeah.
Because I would argue, like in LA, maybe somebody could at least understand what you mean when you say that. But I think in most places in the world, people go, what the hell is a Soulful Publicist?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So we got to start there. But then literally, LaRayia, Aarona, and Durek have all been on here.
And Shannon.
Yeah. So we've had...
Oh, boy.
We've had your roster on our podcast, and now it's
Thank you.
We gotta.
We do what we can. We do what we can. It's all for you.
I love it. So why don't you explain to all of our beautiful, amazing listeners what a Soulful Publicist is?
Yeah. So Soulful Publicist got birthed when I saw that PR is a vehicle to get your message out there. But what was missing for me is the kind of the soulful aspect. So I infuse my intuition, my inner work, and kind of my touch to the spirit world and transformational world inside my PR approach.
Yeah, I love
which
that.
Actually works out really nicely.
Yeah, it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So walk me through what that means, right? Like, we know what PR, well, some people out there don't even know what PR is. Let's talk about what PR is.
Yeah. PR to the core is representation of a person or a product, and it positions you in the place of media to either help boost awareness or exposure.
Totally. So this is something
really simple.
I did not know this at all until I started being in the world of speaking and things of that nature. And so for those of you who are not aware, and maybe you watch shows like SNL or any of the night shows, like when I was a kid, I thought to myself, hey, David Letterman must be friends with plug in an actor or an actress.
Yeah.
Because they had them on the show and they had some nice banter and they talked a little bit. Oh, they had a comedian on and, they had like a little guest spot on the show. I thought the night shows were just a bunch of people kind of like doing circuits, talking to friends. Because when you're a kid and you're watching these things, you don't realize that every single person you watch on TV, and when I say every, I mean every. There's not a single person you watch on any TV show, talk show, anything like that is not there because they have an upcoming project, a project that just launched, or something else in the works that their PR placed them to be able to talk on The View, on pick any show. It doesn't matter. Pick anything you do. And so all these people go, they host SNL, they do whatever it is they're doing as part of becoming more prevalent and more obvious to the public. So that people start seeing them more. And then when their projects come out, they pay more attention. So that's PR in general, like public relations, right?
Yeah, it's strategy. It's getting your name out there, your product or your launch. So there's awareness. And it actually saves people money because if you don't want to invest in advertisement or Facebook ads, I think PR moves the needle if you play your cards right. And I was explaining this on my IGTV recently because I realized people really don't understand the value of PR.
Right.
There's so many people that keep saying like, oh, wow, PR actually works. I'm just like, it does. It does work. There's not a question of if it doesn't or does not work. It's the matter of you playing it right and actually sticking to it for a long term so that you can see a return on your investment.
And don't you also feel that there's good times for everything? And like there's a time to also like switch things up because I actually had PR for 7 years. I was with the same publicist for 7 years. Before, I mean, this was like, I was like, what, 22 to 27? Like it was like 6 or 7 years. I remember I like just met her when I was pregnant with Kai. And, they were wonderful and I loved working with them. But at a certain, and I wasn't even paying myself, but I was paying them because I did see the value and they were placing me in publications and I was building my philosophy brand. I was building my name in the wellness space. It was beautiful. And then we just hit a wall where it was like, they had maxed out their resources. It had been a long relationship.
Yeah.
And I took a break. And, it at a certain point, if you're not making a profit and you're putting all this money into a publicist, maybe, I use my intuition. I was like, okay, we've had a great ride. We've had a great journey, just like any relationship.
Yeah.
Now it's time to like just take a pause and like she can go find new contacts or maybe I'll go find someone else to work with. So I think it's also like, yes, invest in a publicist if it feels right. I'm actually about to do that.
Yeah.
And it feels really good to like come back around. Maybe 3 or 4 months, I'll give it a little sampling and go from there. And I think it's important to kind of, wouldn't you agree? Like just use your intuition to decide.
Yeah.
When it's like, okay, we've kind of exhausted this. Let's move on to something else. And it's good to like go to different people.
No,
right?
there is a part of that's amazing that you said that. I don't touch on this a lot, but innovation and creativity is like the number one thing that has to happen between not only just the publicist, but the client, because the publicist only has an eye for so much. And like my hands are in so many different things, you know, like I'm on newsletters, I'm on social media, I'm looking and seeing what like other brands are doing, just doing a lot of the research.
Good.
Then I think when it comes to relationships is like there has to be alignment. You have to understand what the person's doing and you have to be really passionate about it in a sense that like they're top of mind when you're meeting like so-and-so and you're networking. If you have an active publicist and they're just like circling the networks all the time, they're going from this event to that book launch. That's me.
Yeah.
Literally your people are top of mind and you're talking about them in an organic, authentic way. You're not selling. I'm not selling anything to anyone. I'm just living my truth and what I believe in. And I'm doing it through the work of people that I'm attracting into my life, which are quote unquote my clients.
Totally.
My soulful clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, this is elevated wellness is the theme. And so I care less a little bit in the context of what we're talking about here about the business side of it, if you don't mind. And I want to talk about like this concept of bringing spirituality, soulful elements into wellness, which is definitely, I feel like the last decade kind of a thing.
Or even broader into business. I think even more so because to me, it just because where I'm at is spirituality and wellness are one in my world. And I know it's not everyone, but as someone who's been in wellness since I was 20 years old, 15 years now, I see them as the same. What about business and spirituality? Because that's even bigger. Like how can we bring a little bit of soulfulness and spirituality and intuition into our business?
I think it's really important to understand what works for your business too, and looking at how are you navigating kind of the movements in what's going on with your revenue, with your employees. I think it comes to the core of like the people that you're working with. Are you harnessing the rituals and the practices and the things that you can be doing to elevate the internal wellness of your people? I actually learned this at Lululemon because they invested so much in their people.
They do that well.
Yeah, they do. And I was one of those people because back in 2008, I realized that wellness to the core is about investment in yourself and others.
Yep.
It's so simple of that. And like the spirituality that we talk about, like whether it's esoteric or mystical, doing rituals in the morning or meditating, or in the case of like knowing spirit hacks that Shaman Durek does, if you do those every morning, if you choose one of those, like just see what happens for the week. It boosts morale. Like you have a whole new activation as a team and you get really energized because now you have something that you're incorporating that's not just like in the doing where you're trying to get things done and being in the masculine, but also the feminine and the flow. All of that. It brings just a new level of awareness to your business.
So you started, how long ago did you start?
In PR, I started I think now 5 years ago.
Okay. And was it always like from the moment you came into it, it was this more soulful, more spiritual leaning?
No. I started in
more traditional
fitness,
Yeah.
health, wellness, but mainly fitness because the firm that I worked at, Dunn Pellier Media, they specialized in people like Tony Horton. And it was all about the fitness studios and the fitness things. And don't get me wrong, I have appreciation for the fitness world, but there's a lack of substance and there was a lack of like connection to source and yourself within that realm.
The focus is more, I mean, I was a trainer at Equinox, so I get it, but it's much more focused on the external and like summer body and get those chiseled abs. And you're like, I will not go to a teacher that says those words.
Yeah.
It's not inspiring to me. It's actually a turnoff.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's about empowering the collective.
Yeah.
And what inspired me in the PR firm was bringing people that are in the wellness realm of like healing work or transformational work. Once I see the shift in people's lives based on what this healer or the spiritual teacher is doing, then I was like, I'm in, I'm game.
Yep.
Like, sign me up.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little more about business and the masculine and feminine? Because I think that that's really important, because when I think about business and the way that people typically have run businesses, they are much more in the masculine of do, check off these things of the list. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah.
And what that means for maybe someone who doesn't even understand what masculine and feminine means. They just assume it's man and woman.
Yeah.
Maybe like dumb it down a little.
Yeah. The masculine and feminine that I'm speaking of usually comes with how we show up every day and the actions that we're taking. Masculine is very rooted in like the doing and getting things done, and it's very tangible. And then the feminine is more about trust and intuition. And I find that that can even be hard in the work that I'm doing, because I always want to make the results happen quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so attached to something coming out or something happening, and I want that immediacy that I end up in the masculine. And so the feminine comes in when I'm like, okay, well, check in with yourself. Well, how does this feel? And working with Aarona and working with Shaman Durek, intuition is everything.
Everything.
Asking your guides, having the counsel, as Shaman Durek talks about it, is asking your guides and really listening to what is coming through. Should I send this email right now? Or should I reach out to so-and-so? I literally, the other day, you guys, I used my guides to tell me what producer to pitch. And I like ran my hand through the list, and I was like, okay, which producer is going to receive this pitch? And I like went through, and it was like clear as day. And I got it, and I found their contact, and I sent them an email.
Amazing. Yeah.
So you could do that.
And it's more intentional that way. You're not just BCCing 72 producers.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel that when I'm BCC'd. I don't even respond.
Oh,
if someone
terrible.
sends me an Instagram direct message and it's something that they just sent to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
If someone sends me like, Dear Monica, to my email because they did it through the website and they're hoping that's my name, like... You're 180% not getting an email response, because that's disrespectful and you didn't take the time, and there's no integrity behind it.
Yeah.
So for someone who is very soulful and spiritual, I respond very negatively to that masculine energy.
Yeah, it's not personal to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why is that? Sorry, why is that the masculine?
Because it's a
Getting your
doing.
name wrong.
They're not even taking
But
the
they're not
time.
doing. Yeah,
they're just
right, they're
not
not
even.
doing.
They're not even taking the time and the integrity.
Yeah, there's a lack of mindfulness.
They're just sloppily sending it to a bunch of different people.
They
They're
just want to get it out.
No, I get it, but are we saying that the masculine is about sloppily getting it done?
No,
That's
just
not what I
trying
hear.
to bang out a bunch of things at once.
Sure, but you should do it with
It's done without
integrity
intention.
and work. Like a person. The reason I'm saying that
It
is
should be balanced, is the point.
yeah. But again, I just want to clarify. Like, we send out emails to professionals, right? Like that want to work with Ignited.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that it takes. Work,
Yeah.
like finding out who they are, what do they do, looking at their projects, understanding how we can tie together,
But
and then
that's
crafting
integrity.
an email.
That's integrity. Is if Maddie is sitting there researching who they are as people, what makes them glow and feel ignited, and what they're up to, and what projects they're doing, and what their name is. That's integrity. That's the feminine.
But why? But hold on. Again, I want to clarify this, right?
Yeah.
That's not intuition. That's going in and doing research. So where are we like? Where's the? What I don't want, or maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Doing something sloppily, you can do it in the masculine or the feminine. It has
That's
nothing to
true.
do with the
Of course.
masculine.
Of
You can
course.
do a shitty job in either
For
one.
me, it's more about checking off as many things in a given day as possible. That's a masculine energy.
I get it. That person that you're talking about that wrote that email with the wrong name didn't check off the boxes, though. They actually didn't do the work.
Sure.
Is what I'm saying.
But they think they did.
Yeah. So just getting things done to get them done, I don't think is ever an effective
Right.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And no matter, like even in the intuition, right? Like if you just sit around and pay attention to your intuition and then never act on any of it, never do anything.
Yeah, you need to-
never move over to the action. And maybe even, and I don't know, I'm just kind of putting this out there. Maybe this is true, maybe this isn't. And maybe even within intuition, there are boxes you have to check. Like there's some intuitions that you learn over time to tune into more versus ones you go, oh, this is that voice that comes in sometimes. That voice doesn't play a role here or something along those lines, right? I think, if we're going to talk about this, not just wellness and spirituality, but within the context of like doing work, then I think one of the most important things when you do work is to be intentional about what you do.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the doing or the listening.
Intention.
Is to really take your time.
But even having an intention about the work you're doing is bringing a feminine approach. Having an intention, that's not a masculine energy to have an intention about your work. True? Yeah, I feel like if you were to pick between the two, having an intention about the efforts you're about to exude, that's a feminine energy, but then the actual application of it, getting it done, is the masculine. You need both.
Okay.
You need both.
That's not the way I see it, but that's totally great.
I think you can have an intention by being in the masculine. It's all about your approach.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can be intentional while being in your masculine.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's both. I'm saying it's both.
Yeah, it's both.
Like people do goal setting. So there's the hey, here are the numbers I want to hit for this year. And that sounds, from what you guys are saying, that's more in the masculine intention.
Yeah.
Versus I am looking to feel more accomplished, or I'm looking to become more abundant, is a more intuitive intention.
Yeah.
So you can have both. You can have intention in both.
Both can be present.
But what you're speaking to, relationships, that's like the number one thing I talk about, is creating that personal relationship. Like there's nothing better than that.
Absolutely.
Like acknowledgement, sending them gifts, really asking the question, like, what can I do for you, rather than them doing something for me.
Yeah.
It's such like a taking exchange of energy. And I'm always looking at how I can support them, and not always thinking of like, oh, well, what can they do for my client? But I always want to be in the conversation of adding value to them, their audience, and their publication. Even though it seems really transactional sometimes, but no, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, how is Shaman Durek going to add value to these people?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a business market. How is he going to add value to that? What new concepts is he going to bring to their market?
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Again, kind of to bring it back, this idea of my awareness. Sophie's been aware of spirituality in all contexts for much longer, but in my awareness, the conversation on spirituality removed from religion is a little bit more recent. I mean, there's been the meditation, mindfulness camp, but even that was like Buddhist or Taoist. Like a lot of times those conversations were connected to religion, the way I saw a lot of it. And now it seems like spirituality in general is picking up steam. And for the last decade, it's not like in the last year or two. So how do you see that, right? When you're sitting down and somebody like Durek, who, when did we meet? Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Even 4 years ago at this point.
Feels like you guys have known him for a long time.
Revitalized.
We're instant family.
Yeah.
I feel like the world has become ready for that kind of conversation.
Yep.
Like it wasn't necessarily there 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he came in at this great time, and he's got a really interesting marriage of Western and the shamanistic, right? Like
ancient wisdom.
We went to a wedding
modern.
together. He's wearing a tux. Like he's
got
got a way
balance.
to bring those two things together.
Yep.
So when you're saying to yourself, how do we bring in the spiritual shamanistic conversation into a business setting? What that is to me the place where you're elevating the conversation now, right? Because you're taking, here's what everybody expects in a business meeting. They expect a PowerPoint, and they expect somebody in a suit, and they expect to be sitting around a conference table. That's the typical business expectation.
Yeah.
How do you elevate something like that? What is the brainstorming thing like?
I mean, I think the biggest shift or opening that we've had is in meditation.
Yeah.
So when people like Emily Fletcher are going to corporations, and I'm going to take Google through a meditation series or give them debunking myths about meditation, that's kind of where we're headed. But now my vision of what I see happening, and I actually saw it with Aarona, I'm like, we're in Goop's offices right now, and she's leading a moon circle.
Yeah.
Right? She's pulling cards. And on the surface level, this is like, that's pretty mystical. But if you look at it, that's where we are headed.
We're already there.
Yeah.
We're already Goop. Goop is a moon circle.
No, I know.
It's like amazing.
But I want this to be more prevalent in like the
normal corporations.
The more business, like mechanical corporations that don't have access to this, or it may be so far reached out, they're like, oh, that's woo-woo.
Well, our friend was just here this morning, and she was saying she makes beautiful malas, but she just started doing. She has a collab with West Elm making meditation cushions out of sustainable materials, and it's their own materials that they have an extra surplus of, so they're making meditation.
Yeah, just when they build furniture or whatever, and they have fabric left over.
Yeah, so she's been collaborating with them on that, and she just flew to Brooklyn and to New York, and like went to New York and taught meditation to 80 people. And she said like she watched their stress, New York, like watched from in the 10-minute meditation, like from 8, it was a complete transformation in the energy. And they aren't people who meditate. And that I think it is happening more often. I think we're creating the change. Once again, yes, it's important to be in our own communities. But it's even more important for us to take who we are into the mainstream and into middle America and into places that don't have this exposure, because they need these tools more than ever. My superfoods are not needed in Venice.
Yeah.
They're needed at Walmart.
Wow. That's a really
meditation
good point.
Cushions and like moon circles are needed in Kentucky.
Well, that's always the thing, right? It's like California is where the crazy people go to percolate.
Yeah.
And then some of the things permeate into the rest of society, and all of a sudden everybody goes, oh, we should do more fill in the blank or whatever, eat more greens and drink more smoothies, and
we're super coastal. What I run into when I'm pitching or I'm talking, because I do a lot of conversations with journalists and producers, and the one thing that I always get about like meditation or anything that falls into that realm of wellness, it's too coastal, and only the West Coast and the East Coast have really access to it and resonate. And the mom in middle America who's watching these TV shows is not really going to know what to do with this information and may not even have access to that. Like they don't have meditation studios, or they may not have shamanic work that's prevalent or available there. And that's what we're doing, is that we need to take what we're building, especially in California and New York, and start expanding into the areas that need it the most.
Yeah. And we love doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love going and teaching like couples workshops in other parts of the world.
That's so cool.
And it's so funny because I feel like we actually we gravitate much more to going somewhere else than doing it here, because it does feel pretty saturated here, even though our Ignited Glow event was amazing and so much fun and like obviously necessary, but people flew in from all over.
Wow.
Too bad none of your clients were glow. Oh, sorry. All of them were there. It was like
literally it was the whole family.
Yeah, pretty soon I'm gonna want to just like Ignited needs to start being included in pitches. And we're like, just come along. It's just like our van. Fill up the van.
Totally.
It's so, I mean, there's so, and actually I think like literally like half of them are now part of our elite coaching group even. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
To be able, and I, by the way, come totally from the science side of things. So for me, this has been a migration of not just allowing, because allowing sounds like, hey, I'll let you in my place, but more like becoming open myself to the power of all these different approaches. Because my whole thing is really simple. Different people react to different things. And whereas cerebral, let's talk about what's going on in your life and have a conversation about what you need to change works for some people. For some people, it just doesn't penetrate. And having somebody like Shaman sit in front of them and talk to their spirits in front of them, it allows them a different way of accessing the same information. And I think from the first moment that Durek and I met, that's kind of been where we've always come to, is like every topic we talk about, we almost end up in the exact same endpoint. He comes to it from a completely different place than I do. And it's really fun.
Totally.
No, I love that.
That we're all looking to help. That's what I love about this concept in the framework of elevating wellness is, I feel like you talked about fitness when you started out, right? So 50 years ago, 60, 70 years ago, the concept of wellness, pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
Like wellness was meat and potatoes.
It just didn't exist.
Well, I mean, like, no, but like to eat a well-rounded diet, meat and potatoes, right? Like that was the American diet.
It was just the American diet, though. It wasn't wellness.
But I think they thought that was how you became healthy. No, I swear
information just keeps kind of brewing, and we start advancing our technology.
Totally. Well, I'm gonna look for links. I swear, like the
I think it's like chicken soup.
the whole American diet. Then I think it became like about these. Even chicken soup is like that's an ethnic thing.
Right.
Chicken soup came from let's pull a little bit from like what the Jews have been doing for a while. Let's put a little bit from what the British have. And so tea, like some of these. Incorporating some of these things from a wellness standpoint, I think started elevating. But then the idea of fitness and dieting, et cetera, came in later.
Yeah.
And
As we became more sedentary.
was it?
As a
Was it
culture.
sedentary?
Yeah, because
maybe that.
people just worked on
Or
the farm.
vain.
People worked on the farm, or they worked on their space, or they had more physical jobs. And then as we became more sedentary, then it was like, oh, we need to move our bodies because we're getting fat as a culture.
Yeah.
And that's where fitness came in.
And you said the key word, right? Fat. So it was like about vanity to some extent. It was about
Unhealthy, heart disease, and like all these yes, vanity, but even more so people were dying because they were unhealthy because they were sitting all day.
God. Now I want to go do research on hypertension and heart attack rates in the country since the 50s.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into that before we do our intro for this. It's the way my brain works. And then it went to like superfoods and veganism and vegetarianism and veggies in your smoothie and smoothies and liquid diets, all this stuff, right? All the different stuff. Still all diet and physical based. The reason I think this fits so well is all these people you rep, all these people you work with, all the ways in which you're making an impact by bringing these people into media is by saying, okay, taking care of your physical body is great.
Yeah.
But wellness is also about this other thing.
Yeah.
Right? Not just spiritual connection, not just psychological well-being. Wellness is about taking care of this other element, right? This spiritual, mindful connection.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Like it's about awareness.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm like, why aren't people like Shaman Durek going into corporations and talking about what triggers us and like what's going on in the work environment? Like, why does it have to be in the form of a life coach?
Totally. Well,
Why does it have to be an executive coach?
Yeah. We were talking about that corporation. Oh, it was like a USAA type thing. He was going to go in. Oh, AAA. He was going to go in and talk to them about
like a sexual harassment
toxic
training.
masculinity. And like he pitched this whole thing, but like they're not quite ready. That's why.
Right.
Because they're not quite ready to really look at it.
Yeah.
It's like our sex, when sex education in high school. Like, let's not really talk about what's happening here. Like, I didn't actually know what sex was.
Yeah.
I knew what the vagina on the inside like looks like and how I have a baby, but how does a man and woman, we never talked about sex.
Yeah.
Like, it's so interesting how we like skirt around issues.
I know, we play it so safe.
Yeah.
And we like inch by inch. Okay, now
But everyone has a premonition.
Everyone's talking about shamans because everyone knows about ayahuasca. But the truth is shamans have been around for like ancient years. But now there's a rise. Why? Because people are understanding that there are results and there's research, and once science starts backing up certain things that are going on in the wellness world, it starts becoming readily acceptable. And media has a lot to do with that, because if you see so-and-so on Good Morning America or on CNN, then now they're a credible source.
Exactly.
So now we have a new seed planted in our brain where this actually may be acceptable. And this actually may be a normalized conversation, and it's not that far off.
Yeah. Well, that's your job, right? Is to get people in the media so that the conversation starts changing.
It's exciting, bridging the gap between consciousness and media.
I think you're right, though. I think mindfulness, like meditation, definitely got a leg up.
Yeah.
When research showed that it changes brain activity.
Well, yeah, I think it was, I think the rise that you were talking about earlier in the last 10 years is equal parts yoga, the Lululemon of the world, normalizing, mainstreaming yoga, and yoga being a spiritual practice, not just asana, and meditation. I think those two things in the last 10 years are what have normalized the spiritual. I think it's helped normalize spirituality and separated it from religion.
It has.
Like to meditate doesn't mean that you're Buddhist.
Right.
Meditation has to do with stress relief.
Meditation
has to do with sanity.
Yeah.
So it's that separation has come, yes, research, but also just the lay person at Lululemon in middle America going to a meditation group followed by 20% off yoga pants.
Totally all together.
This is why positioning is so important, you guys. If you position something in a way that's tangible, it's relatable, and it feels like it's something you can do and it's accessible for all audiences, then it makes sense. But if you're going to show people, I mean, it's true. If you go show people a shamanic activation and it looks like it's really cathartic and it looks like it's going to be an ayahuasca ceremony on TV, that may not land. But there's certain things that can land. And Shaman Durek is brilliant at this, is taking what he's known from ancient wisdom, from his training of being a shaman, and channeling it in a way that's going to land to an audience that is completely new to this.
He's also done his work.
Yeah.
So it's funny, right? Because he'll mess up little like words sometimes around the neuroscience, but he studied the neuroscience.
Yeah.
So it's really powerful for him, because I think you're right. He understands, I have to say this in a way you're going to accept it. Not
Bite
in the way that like other shamans and I will talk.
Yeah.
Like it's probably the same for everything. Like, so if you sit around with other yoga teachers or other health food practitioners, you can get into details and things that the best of us would gloss over and kind of look at you sideways and go, I don't even understand what you're saying right now. I don't understand the language. And that's not helpful if you're looking to connect to the mass audience.
Yep. Knowing your audience, and at the same time being a loving interruption. A loving interruption is something that I got out of doing my own transformational work. And what I've seen Shaman Durek do and some of the other great leaders of our time is they're not here to be liked. They're here to disrupt and interrupt your patterns in a way that you can navigate a new narrative, a new mindset, and a new way of living and showing up in life.
So important.
The loving part of interruption is something that I'm working on.
I know.
Loving
we
interruption.
all are.
But it's so important, and it's so important to keep reminding each other that are in this space and that are trying to do this. We saw Shaman Durek one time, and he was like going through something, and like I just kept repeating what you just said to him, which is like he's a loving reminder to me to do that, and then I'm a loving reminder back to him, and we're all just reflecting that back to each other. Like, keep on going. Yeah, and it's not easy not to be liked. It's not. No. And then when you get to the next level, it's hard, because then you lose friends and you lose family and you lose. Like, it's painful to up level and to make more change in the world. And the more change, more you move towards change, the more that people are going to react and respond. It doesn't mean that you're not doing the right work. It means that you're doing the right work.
Yeah.
Important work. Yeah. Maybe not right and wrong, but like you're doing important work. Yeah. When people are feeling different things that aren't always acceptance. That's how we change.
Easy. Impact is not easy, and it doesn't always look the way people think it's going to look.
And it can be messy.
I think you can actually say it never looks the way people expect it to look when it starts. Yeah,
that's so true.
But that is I think we talked about change. This theme is coming up a lot over the last few months, even for us, and it's when you create change, there's friction, there's discomfort. There just is. And the bigger it becomes, the more visible it is, the more disruptive it is, and then the more friction and the more discomfort you cause for other people. And people react. And now we live in a world that is so connected. Like 30 years ago, if somebody read something about Durek or whatever in a magazine that they didn't like, they could talk to their friends about it.
Oh, yeah.
Now they go online
on social media
and they comment on his stuff, and now he gets to read it. And I know for myself, I mean, Sophie knows this really well, but I get a lot of hate comments on Facebook.
Because of what he does with
addicts. I have to do a real check-in with myself of, that's why I was saying the loving interruption piece. Like, I get very reactive sometimes depending on the comment. And it can be painful. I know it's caused Durek pain. I mean, it's not easy, because Durek definitely pushes the envelope in terms of what the greater society is willing to accept.
I actually do come in on that a lot, because beyond just like being someone's publicist, I'm also their coach.
Of course.
Like understanding how the world is occurring for them, so then I can understand how to show up for them and serve them. And with Durek and others, if there are like comments or feedback that are affecting them, you have to bring them back to why you're doing this in the first place.
Purpose.
And it's not necessarily you are here to serve others, but there is a mission that's much greater greater than yourself. So I work with people that are living much greater than themselves. They're living for a mission driven or a heart driven purpose. And that's what speaks to me. And those are the types of people that I attract.
Yeah.
Cause that's clear. I'm like, if you're in it for the fame or the money, or you just get rattled from everything, then you are more connected to what this means for you on a personal level and taking things personally, when really your mission is greater than yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to swallow. And I want to allude to you guys or acknowledge you guys. You have to really get that the attraction energy that you guys have. It's no accident that the people that come into this room are just because like you know them or you reached out to them. Like we're all having this attraction energy, and you're a conduit for this message and these concepts to be delivered. And so you have to understand that you're the source of that. And if people take more responsibility and acknowledge that they're the source of that, then we will have more leaders and more game changers of that recognition.
Right.
You know?
That's
Thank
true.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I do struggle with that. Sophie and I talk about it. We were talking before we started recording. I have I come from academia, and anything that talks about me and what I've achieved feels boastful, and boastful feels wrong. And so I don't. I very rarely actually talk about achievements or anything like that. But it is also true that we work our ass off on a regular basis to bring what we consider useful and impactful and important for people to pay attention to. And then here's the fortunate side of how connected we all are. People, after every time an episode comes out, people tell us, oh my God, here's this amazing quote from your guests or you guys that I heard today that I needed. And so we also get that constant feedback, which is so important because the work isn't easy. And so I think there is you talked about the feminine and masculine earlier. There's an intuition, and there is this feedback loop of saying we're on the right path, right? The messages we're sending out are being received.
Yeah, just look at your results, like how your audience is responding, not just the comments, but you can energetically feel that what you're putting out matters.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't just bring anyone here, and you're not just here to increase your numbers on your podcast. Like you guys are on a mission. And I think podcast hosts forget, like they're a conduit to this.
Yeah.
So you are the source of this information being readily available and planting those seeds, because everyone's listening to podcasts, and you guys have a channel to do that through, which is brilliant.
Thank you.
So you guys are the source of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have 5 questions that every single person who comes on the podcast has to answer.
Just first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one, and it doesn't have to be related to work or anything that we talked about here, just literally life. This is one of the people's favorite segments because they get to learn about you guys really deeply.
I love that.
Question number 1 is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received. Oh my God. Okay, well, this is the one that just came to me. Is when I'm playing small, to look at what it is that I'm really taking a stand for, and if my comfort zone is really going to help me get there.
It's like, don't play small just because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so connects back to what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
You can always play small. You'll achieve really small gains, which sometimes is okay, and for some people it's fine. But if you want big things to change, that's awesome. Do you remember who first told you that?
A lot of my advice comes through transformational trainings I did, because they land so deeply, because I'm unraveling so much internally. And it's always an interruption of how I'm operating in life, and it's reflected back to me. So it's always like a coach that's working with me through the training.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Number 2, what is your proudest moment to date?
My proudest moment. Okay, well, I guess it went to singing. That was a big one. This is actually really cool, and I'm known as the girl who did this, but I sang opera on the JetBlue flight because I was unreasonable, and I went up to the flight attendant and asked them if I could sing opera for their guests because I wanted to give the gift to them because it was the holidays. And I have no idea what came through me, but I'm like, I guess I'm going to do this.
Oh my God.
And you did it?
I did it.
That's amazing.
And the girl from Glee was on my flight.
What?
Yeah. The flight attendants came over. They're like, do you want a drink? Because they were so happy that I did it. And the captain came and he's like, I really wanted to turn around, but I was flying a plane.
Oh my gosh. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's got guts, girl.
One aria. I know one aria, guys, in German from my senior year of high school.
That's amazing.
Incredible. I love it.
That says a lot about you.
Not close to any other answer we've ever received for that question. That's pretty amazing.
What about on the flip side, the most difficult thing you've been through or time in your life?
I'd say the most difficult would be when I was in New York and feeling like I had just graduated from college and I had no career path. And this isn't to say like this type of service-based hospitality is diminishing, but for me, I knew my gifts weren't being served, and I ended up letting go of everything that I knew to be true about myself, and I ended up as a host, and I had like a bachelor's degree and I wasn't headed anywhere. And I remember just like sitting in Bryant Park and thinking like, where am I going in life? And like, what am I going to do? So it really just brought me down to my knees and having that question. So it wasn't until I met my astrologer that a lot of things changed.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
We talked a lot about how this kind of work can be taxing. Sometimes it brings on a lot. For you, there's a lot of travel, a lot of going out and hanging out and et cetera. How do you take care of yourself? What's your self-care routine so that you can show up as your best?
So that's shifted because I'm not meditating as much anymore. This is a very transparent podcast, so I'm not going to pretend like I meditate right now.
I think it cycles too.
Yeah, it is. It cycles. Two things is singing has opened up so much activation in me. So I'll sing a lot now. I'm in a choir. So that is actually taking care of my well-being because it allows me to perform and express and be free. And then the other thing is I do the shamanic rituals sometimes in the morning where I activate myself and use the shamanic work that I've done with Shaman Durek and open up doorways and pathways to new opportunities.
Beautiful.
I love it. That's so
Thank
cool.
you for that. And last but not least, our podcast is called Ignited. What ignites you?
What ignites me is the path that I've chosen and being really true to it and feeling like it's the best thing I've ever listened to in my life.
Love that. Listening to your intuition.
Yeah.
So
That's
great.
so great. I
Thank
love
you
it.
so much for this.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for all the work you do to kind of elevate the conversation and to help people that we love. I mean, like LaRayya's stuff that she's doing in the world and helping the homeless. It's just so much magical stuff that is happening. And we can't wait to keep working with you and all the amazing people that you bring to us.
Yeah. I can't wait to see who's coming next.
Yay. Mwah.
Love you guys.
Everyone have a great day.
Everybody, love this. If you had any like last little tidbits that resonate with you, don't forget to just screenshot, tag Sophie, Ignited Us, and Soulful Publicist. And,
Yes.
And let's keep the conversation going. Bye.
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 Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Ignited podcast. We were so happy to have you along for this ride. Please go and subscribe to this. Leave us a review. We love hearing from you. And if you want more, don't forget to go to ignited.com, where all the podcast episodes are available with show notes and so many of the little details and links from each one of these interviews. And you can look at all the future events that we have going on, all the things that make Ignited so special, even beyond this recording. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.